Imagine stepping onto a rugby field in a foreign land, your ankle shattering with a sickening crack, but there's no doctor, no help, just melting ice and sheer grit to carry you through. What if your national jersey was stripped of your country's emblem, deemed unworthy? This isn't fiction. It's the raw reality that sparked a revolution in women's rugby league. Hit that subscribe button now for more jaw-dropping NRL stories. The year was 2011, and the Australian Jillaroos were buzzing with anticipation for their groundbreaking tour to Samoa. This wasn't just any trip. It was their first test match against the Pacific powerhouse outside a World Cup, a chance to etch their names in history. But beneath the excitement lurked a harsh truth. The players had to scrape together their own funds to make it happen. Picture this: seasoned athletes like police officers and teachers turning into fundraisers, organizing golf days, raffles, and begging for gold coin donations at local games. Each player shelled out up to $2,000, often dipping into personal savings or leaning on work connections for sponsorships. It was embarrassing, explaining to potential donors that yes, women played contact rugby at a national level, and no, they didn't have the backing of the big leagues yet. The team, a mix of trailblazers including Joe Barrett, Tony Norris, and Ali Brigginshaw, trained relentlessly, balancing full-time jobs with the dream of representing Australia. As departure neared, rugby league legend Gordon Tallis presented their jerseys at a Norths Club event, but his face twisted in disbelief. The Australian coat of arms, that proud symbol of national pride, was banned from their kits, a decision he blasted as utterly disgraceful, his voice booming through the room like thunder. This snub wasn't just an oversight. It was a stark reminder of how undervalued the women's game was, treated as an afterthought by the governing bodies. The players swallowed their frustration, focusing on the adventure ahead, boarding planes with makeshift medical kits and no professional support staff. Little did they know, this tour would test their limits in ways unimaginable, forcing them to confront not just opponents on the field, but systemic neglect that could shatter careers and bones. As the plane touched down in humid Apia, the air thick with promise and peril, the Jillaroos stepped into a week that would redefine resilience. But wait, what happened when the first tackle turned into a catastrophe? The warm-up game against a local Samoan side was meant to be a gentle shakeout, but for Joe Barrett, it became a nightmare etched in agony. Charging forward on a routine hit-up, she felt an opponent's weight crash down in what seemed like a hip-drop tackle. Then came the crack, a sound that echoed through her body like a gunshot. Heat surged through her right ankle, her foot flopping lifelessly as she collapsed to the dusty field. Teammate Nat Dwyer urged her to play the ball one last time, and in a haze of shock, she did, before the pain hit like a tidal wave. Assistant coach Mick Hancock scooped her up and carried her off, but that's where the support ended. No team doctor, no physiotherapist, just a local helper with a bag of ice that had melted into useless slush under the scorching sun. Barrett's leg swelled grotesquely, turning purple and throbbing with every heartbeat, yet she had to rely on Panadol popped like candy to dull the edge. Teammates Steph Hancock and Chloe Caldwell became her human crutches, piggybacking her around the hotel and venues, their laughter masking the growing worry. The team pressed on, the test match looming, but Barrett's injury hung like a dark cloud. In a desperate bid for answers, they bundled her into what passed for an ambulance, a battered, shelled-out Pajero that rattled over potholed roads. The door slammed shut on her injured leg mid-journey, sending fresh bolts of pain shooting up her spine. At the hospital, a hurried X-ray led to a shocking misdiagnosis. No break, just a sprain, the doctor insisted, tipping her out of a wheelchair onto a loading dock like discarded luggage. Team manager Debbie Bruin helped her hobble away, hitching a ride back in a stranger's ute. All the while, Barrett hopped on one foot, biting back screams, unaware that her fibula was cracked clean through and ligaments torn ragged. The tour continued amid this chaos, with the Jillaroos facing a ferocious Samoan side in the main event. 10 minutes of pure carnage that tested their fitness and spirit. They emerged victorious 42-14, but the victory tasted bittersweet as Barrett's ordeal unfolded in silence. How much longer could she endure? And what hidden dangers lurked in that flight home? Yuri tuned into Aussie NRL Updates, your go-to for all things rugby league down under. Back at the hotel, Barrett's week blurred into a haze of improvised survival, hopping between rooms, icing with whatever frozen scraps they could find, and sharing stories under the stars to distract from the throbbing torment. The lack of insurance loomed large. Every twinge reminded her that one wrong move could end her career without a safety net. Teammates rallied, turning the tour into a bond-forging epic, but the undercurrents of neglect simmered. Travel meant buses with wooden seats, no air conditioning, windows jammed shut against the tropical heat, conditions that would make modern pros balk. Toni Norris dodged her own disaster in a spear tackle that left coaches fearing paralysis, her quick self-check a moment of raw vulnerability. The final night dissolved into legendary folklore, secrets staying on tour, but Barrett's pain was no secret. It pulsed relentlessly, a constant companion as they boarded the plane home. The flight was a gamble, swelling unchecked, blood clot risks unspoken, yet she made it, landing on Australian soil with relief and dread. Rushed to a proper doctor, the truth exploded like a bombshell. Not a sprain, but a fractured fibula with every ligament ripped away, demanding immediate surgery with plates and screws. The bill landed squarely on her shoulders, a financial gut punch after the physical one. This revelation wasn't just personal. It rippled through the team, exposing the chasm between the men's game and theirs.